girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I got the girls with their nails done. Girls with their
Oh,
Yeah.
Fire.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What is going on? Can you hear me, baby? Can everybody hear me pretty good?
I can hear you.
I got
All
you.
right. All right. There we
Loud
go.
and clear.
All right. Why am I hearing feedback?
Loud and clear.
I'm hearing
Hey,
feedback. I'm hearing myself repeat to myself. What is going on?
Well,
All
we
right.
don't hear that. You
Yeah,
come
we
in,
hear that?
you come in with no echo for us.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
hear.
my
any
goodness.
feedback.
All right. I'm going to just keep on going. All right. As long as you guys don't hear, I'll deal with it. All right. What's going on? It's your boy Preston, Fat Samurai Guy, back again with another episode of Versus, baby. Oh, yeah. And we got legends here. Back again. The fanatical one. Welcome back, brother.
thanks for having me. Good to be back.
Yeah, man. Good to have you here. The Anubis that is a DJ. Welcome back, brother.
So thank you very much.
Yes. And here he is. Hold on. I got to show the poster. The new cold, the new awesome poster. Hold on a second. Bone Cold, the psychological thriller, horror thriller. Make sure you guys check it out. The director, the legend himself, Billy Hansen. Welcome back, brother.
What's happening?
Yeah. Yes. And from Action Flicks, my brother from another mother, John. Welcome back, brother.
How's it going?
Yes. And we and him just interviewed Olivier Gruner. It is an epic interview. Make sure you guys check it out if you have not seen it. And here he is, one of the best Bruce Lee documentaries of all time. Right? Make sure you guys check this out. Here he is, Matt Rutledge.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Great to
Yes,
be on
sir,
board.
brother. Yes, sir, man. A huge honor to have you here, brother. Right. Filmmaker, director, he has done it all. Good to have everybody, good to see everybody here. All right. Man, what a plethora of movies we have. Versus has returned and is on fire. We did John Wick Chapter 4 versus The Raid 2. We did The Transporter versus The Beekeeper. And for the longest time, I've always wanted to talk about Eastern Condors. And for months, I'm like, we could go against Eastern Condors. We could go against Eastern Condors. And I was like, Rick, we could go against Eastern Condors.
And I said, well, bullet in the head.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good. You got
Hey, it's okay, buddy.
Oh,
It's a good movie. No problems.
Eastern Condors. Oh,
I
man.
was like, that blew my mind. I was like, that's perfect.
I don't want
They
to.
both take place in Vietnam.
Together. Yeah. So we're gonna get into it. First let's do the plot synopsis, Mr. Billy. And I'm gonna remove myself for a second and pop back in. All right. StreamYard is on the crack. All right. Go ahead, brother.
All right. Eastern Condors. Let's see. A group of Asian prisoners is recruited, trained, armed, and sent to Vietnam to destroy a cache of American weapons left behind after the Vietnam War, before the Viet Cong discovers its location. Pretty good description, actually.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. Yep.
Lots of punching and kicking and explosions.
Starring everyone.
Yeah.
Starring everyone.
Starring everyone who was in town.
Yes. Cut to Gary Oldman from The Professional. And everyone. Yeah. Anybody who's sharing the stream right now, make sure YouTube is muted. Because for some reason I still hearing feedback. So make sure you don't have YouTube open.
Yeah, when you left, it was gone. So I hear a little bit, but I think it's on your end somewhere.
Which doesn't make any sense because I have
Is your mic on your headphones on?
Yeah, that's a good theory.
Because sometimes the headphones have a mic on them, and it will cause feedback.
And they do it. I can see the microphone right on his.
Yes, I always, my headphones are plugged into my mic.
Yeah, but you have your microphone
One where
on
the
the
volume
string
is?
of the headphones.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
that's
turn
the
on
mic
off.
there.
Yep.
Good theory, Holmes.
It's just the volume button. This is like
Okay, all right.
it's all right. I'm gonna as long as you guys don't hear the feedback.
No
I don't hear it
feedback.
now.
That sounds good.
All right. Yeah. As long as you guys don't hear it, we'll keep it.
All right.
No, it's
All
gone
right.
now.
So we got the plot of Eastern Condors. What now?
All right. So I'll start off first, and then we'll go around and talk about what we like and what we didn't like. Yeah. So first time I saw Eastern Condors, me and my buddy watched it like way back in the day, and we were blown away by it. Action scenes were great. The fights at the end were phenomenal. I mean, it's just so good. And we were kind of jokingly having fun with the movie, and we kept calling Sammo Sambo throughout the movie. We were like, Sambo, get him, Sambo, get him, Sambo. But loved it. Had an absolute blast with it. And I consider it Sammo's best. These top three, or maybe number one in terms of this action movie and his filmography. It's up there. I love the film a lot. But I got to give the shout out to my brother Billy for sending me these images. And the most important thing that you sent me out of all the images,
I know
so
exactly
happy,
what you're going to do.
I'm so happy that you sent me this image right here. I mean, thank you, sir, for sending me this image. It's a very important image.
If I have the option to send somebody an image of an ass stab, you're going to get it.
Ass stab or right in the junk.
Yeah.
But yeah, just absolutely phenomenal. I love the film. I don't have that much more to say about it because we have such a big group of guests here. So let's keep it rocking and rolling. Fanatical. Fanatical. Thoughts on Eastern Condors?
I kind of have to largely echo what you've said. Like, I think up there jumps back and forth with Millionaires Express for me as like my favorite all-time Sammo Hung movie. Ask me on a particular day, and one will maybe top the other, but definitely his best kind of war film, and maybe the best Hong Kong action war film ever, really, of them all. There wasn't a huge amount, really, to be fair, but no, absolutely incredible. The number of times they almost killed Chin Carlock in that film, pretty staggering. But just so good, and such an amazing ensemble cast. Yeah. Hard to find any fault with the film. I think I suspect early prediction, I think it's going to take the night. But yeah, I absolutely love it.
Ooh, early prediction. You know, I love those. We always get the opposite sometimes. Or sometimes we do get a slaughter. Ooh, good. It's gone now. Yay. Woo-hoo. All right. But yeah, well said, Fanatical One. It's such a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, it's just so fun, man.
It's so good. Anubis, first time watching Eastern Condors. Thoughts on it, brother?
Oh shit.
Blown the fuck away. So a lot of great actors in this. Dick Way, of course, one of the Venoms. A lot of the Venom films he's been a part of. Bail Young. He's in one of my favorite films of all time, Sword Stained with Royal Blood. I had never seen this, and so I didn't really know what to expect. I knew who Sammo Hung was, of course. He's pretty popular within the martial arts community. But first thing that got my attention was the soundtrack, man. I was really, really impressed with the soundtrack, considering the year. Like, it really fit the vibe of the film from top to bottom. Really great stuff. The action sequences and the fight choreography. Oh my God. It was so insane. Cool. One of my favorite quotes in the film was, I forget who the character was, but he's like, yeah, you got a bullet in the ass and it woke me up. Yeah. Also, I don't know about you guys, and I don't know if Samurai has like a clip of it, but for a quick second, I thought I saw the person in front of the little motorcycle as they were coming shooting. I thought it was Wing Wing for a minute. I really did. And I was kind of hoping it was, but it wasn't. I did like the twist in the storyline with the spy and everything. That was kind of cool. Also, I love that they had no filter with like giving women the L in this. Like, she was given a hand. Haha. Yeah, and what the Weasel guy, like, they're always kind of the same. Only this time the Weasel guy could actually fight.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. Like he kind of surprised me with that. So it was a brutal movie, and like just the fights were great, and the choreography. I think Bao Yang was just fucking amazing in this. Like it was just so good. That's really all I can say on it right now.
Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it, brother. I'm glad you enjoyed
Mhm.
it. But yeah, you know, now that I can actually hear myself, rewatching it after a long time, Joyce Cadenzi stood out a lot more. Her character stood out a lot more to me, and I absolutely loved. She did a little bit of her own stunts. You know, this is before She Shoots Straight. Is that the
Yeah.
Yep.
right? And I loved how she didn't go out like no punk. I was like, that's right. That's right. But yeah, a lot of things to love here. Billy, he hated it. I can tell.
Nope. No, I mean, I'm gonna say the same shit. I loved it like right from the beginning. Right in the opening scene, they set this tone that was just perfect. Like with the there's Americans in the beginning and they're trying to raise the American flag and it gets stuck. The guy is at the bottom trying to get it to work, and then dude rolls up. He's like, "I got it." Climbs the flagpole, fixes the thing, comes down, and he's like, "All right, go on your way." And that's like story wise, that's exactly what happens. They go fix like the American problem that's fucked up. And like right from that point, we jump into the fight with the Gorilla Girls. They don't actually have names; they're just Gorilla Girls, which I think is really fun. But like brutal and intense, and then you have that moment with the stab. That's like Bone Tomahawk. Like it reminded me of that scene from Bone Tomahawk. If you guys have seen that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like the whole time the humor was really funny. I was laughing, and I found myself like properly like I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror while I was watching it, and I was straight up like intensely like into the fight scenes towards the end, because that whole sequence in the warehouse when they're finally in there, they've got to the weapons cache, and it's just fight. You just got all the good guys left versus all the bad guys left, and I feel like every stunt was spectacular. Everything wowed me, and it hit these really interesting emotional depths where every death, they set it up with, okay, all these guys are criminals and they're being sent to die. It's the Dirty Dozen, Glorious Bastards. We're just gonna go kill the
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, exactly. So you kind of know they're all going to be doomed in their own way, but they still treat every death with like sadness and like a sensitivity that I found really interesting, and it added to the whole thing. Like it really gave some stakes. So when the two dudes are at the machine gun, they're both dying. It's really badass. It's really sad. And it also like had like that really funny, almost slapstick humor the whole time. So slapstick humor, crazy intense action scenes, really sad depths, and that betrayal with the spy like, turning on them. Like I really felt that. So it was just awesome. I mean, it was like spectacle popcorn movie, like as much as you'd want it to be. And I'm not too familiar with Sammo Hung's work. Like I know who he is and stuff, but this is really like my first real introduction to him.
Whoa, that's all. That's kind of awesome, man. What an introduction.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right. I don't know if you saw me writing down
By the book.
dropping.
Yeah.
By the book.
Yeah.
By the book.
But yeah,
Or watch the movie.
Film. Oh yeah. 100%. Because like I do feel like this movie opened up a whole world for me. And,
Yes.
All right. If there's more of this, I want to do more of this.
Right, Matt.
Also,
very high bar.
Billy, go see Sammo Hung's horror movies. Go see the Mr. Vampire series.
Oh yeah. I know of them. I haven't seen them, but
The Dead and the Deadly and others. Those are much more accomplished than some of these. Anyway,
awesome. Yeah,
it's not my turn yet.
And then the only other thing was like there were some specific moments too that stood out, like when he just decapitated that one dude. Like he saw that there was a gunman on the top of the ridge. He's like, "Oh, I got to kill this guy real quick." Just chops his head off and moves on. Like just little moments. Like
glorious.
So extreme and so quick.
Yeah,
I thought those were just awesome.
Yeah, nice. Matt, before you gush about the film, or maybe Matt hates it. I don't know. We don't know. Again, during I got to reiterate what I said. It feels like many years ago when we did Dragons Forever versus Wheels on Meals, and we were talking about Dragons Forever during that versus, and I was just like, what a treasure Yuen Wah is. What an absolute treasure he is. I just want to restate that again because he comes up with these interesting, memorable villainous characters, and he's just
That little
so good.
giggle.
Go ahead,
That
man.
little giggle is so creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, to be honest, this is going to be one of the toughest conversations ever. Like 10 out of 10 films, literally 10 out of 10 Hong Kong films. Two of the most iconic films in the Hong Kong movie library for very different reasons. You know, both of immense brutality. Eastern Condors has that funny side to it, which Bullet in the Head definitely does not. But yeah, I mean, when I first saw Eastern Condors, I didn't know what to think because it was the first movie I saw that Jackie Chan wasn't in with Sammo and Yuen Biu. So I was thinking, oh, what, you know, is it going to be any good? Because they're on their own. Jackie's not with them. Oh my word. It's just like, it was next level. I think I saw it early 90s. So I saw it maybe 5 or 6 years after it had been shot. And yeah, it was just head and shoulders above any of the films around that time. The comedy's funny in it, you know, and for Western audiences, the comedy doesn't always come across from Hong Kong movies. I'll be honest, it doesn't. But in this, it does, and it really works. There's some hilarious bits. You know, I always remember the bit at the end where Charlie Chin, his character's sadly died, but he's still shooting those 2 machine guns on the floor. You know, little tiny things like that, and the bit with the parachutes at the start where
oh my god,
I think
I was dying.
Where they say, you know, count to 20, and one guy goes something like, "What if I can't count to 20? Well, you're the first one who's going to land then." You know, brilliant. But as the guys have already said, the action is just immense. You know, the coconut leaf scene in the woods, Yuen Biu's phenomenal athleticism as well in the action, the bit where he jumps out the tree, I remember, and obviously there the roundhouse kick where the guy takes one full on in the face, basically. Not to mention the uppercut. I call it the uppercut kick. The one at the end of the film where I think it's Yasuaki Karate.
Did you guys notice that, like, when some of those guys were doing the stunts and they were falling back on their back, dude, like the way they were laying on their necks, man, I was afraid they were going to break their necks. Like, it looks so like crazy. Like, I'm really surprised they did. Probably, I don't even know the history if they got hurt during all that, but they looked like they were landing really awkward.
And some people really did. Not specifically that scene, but Chin Carlock got like burned over 75% of his body. The boat scene when he's set on fire and falls into the water. If he hadn't fallen straight into the water, I don't think Chin Carlock would have survived that. Like that wasn't meant to kind of quite go that way. Rick probably knows way more about this than I do.
Well, yeah, I can do it now, or we can get to it. It's, you know.
Let's do
anything else, Matt? Matt, was there anything else about the movie?
And yeah, I mean, it's just God, I could talk
any negatives?
It.
Any
no,
negatives?
No.
Okay.
For me, it's a 10. It's just a straight up 10. And I'm one of those people that doesn't give too many films a 10. So to be talking about 2 10s tonight is quite incredible. But also Sammo, he was so lean, wasn't he, for the film? Yes. We're so used to seeing him overweight for these films, but still phenomenally athletic and talented. But in this, you know, he was on that diet of that lean chicken or whatever he was having, boiled chicken or something for 2 to 3 months. And I've heard this rumor, maybe someone here could confirm this, but apparently because he was on this diet, he was sneaking downstairs to try and get in the fridge at night to get some food. And apparently they'd put a chain around the fridge with a padlock so he couldn't get in the fridge. And that's apparently a true story. I heard that on the set of Medallion. So and
then Sammo was like, "Oh, you're gonna lock the fridge? All right, harder falls for everyone. You fall on your neck.
There you go.
Next shot.
There you go. There you go. But
Nice.
just as a final comment, what you were saying, Preston, Joyce Cadenzi. I mean,
Yeah.
she was unbelievable in this film. I mean, to try and to hold her own with all that talent around her, just incredible. You know, what an introduction to her. And you know, I wish we'd have got more movies out of her, to be honest, because she was a definite talent. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. John, thoughts on
Yes.
Eastern?
Oh, like okay. Well, this is my favorite Sammo Hung film by far.
There you go.
I'm just gonna throw that. I remember when you said we were watching. I'm like, I actually have it. I have that one. I have it. I have a physical copy of it. It's not a great one, but you know, it's DVD. But I remember when I first watched, because like way back like in the late 80s, early 90s, I was into all the Vietnam movies and stuff like that. So I was like, you know, Platoon, Hamburger Hill, then Tour of Duty was on TV and stuff like that. So when I saw this come out, and I was like, how can you as an action fan not love, you know, the Dirty Dozen meets Rambo meets Fist of Fury? I mean, what's better than a war movie? A war movie with martial arts in it? Yeah. I'm like, you know, it's not only do you have bullets and bombs, but you got fists and feet. And you know, and props to you and Biao's haircut. I mean, if you could still fight somebody with half your hair hanging in your eyeball, you know, it's like it's something else. And then you and I texted, yeah. And that's the other thing too. I watched it today because I'm on pain med, so I had to watch it twice just to make sure I knew what I was watching. So, but not that I haven't seen it 1,000 times before. But I love
saw two movies at once, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like double vision. But yeah, everybody like back in the day, like I don't know what it was, but when I watch the war movie and action movie, when somebody rocked an M60, I'm like, yes, it's the M60. But not only do you have people rocking the M60, you got both of them rocking the M60 at the same time on the bridge. Then you got 50 calibers, and then yeah, it's like, yes, there, yeah, it's like how can you not like Sammo Hung, you know, because he's so known for his martial arts abilities. Then now he's on a 50 caliber machine gun. It's like, how do you not like? If somebody came at me and said they didn't like this movie, I would. Slap in their face.
Unfriend.
Yes. But and then Joyce Cadenzi, we've been talking, but I love the ending. Like when he chops her hand, that's cold. Like and it's just like
cold.
And then she has to fight. Like then she's trying to fight with it. And I loved her facial expressions. She looked annoyed. She was like, she made those facial expressions. I'm like, she was like so pissed off at that point. I'm like, well, you did get your hand cut off, so I can see why you were like so annoyed at the same.
It was like, I can't believe you did that.
Right? It was just like the whole audience was like, you imagine like being her in a real situation. He's just like, yep. You know, like now you only have one hand to fight with. Haha, you know, it's like so. But you and I, Preston, we're talking. Well, we just messaged each other real quick because I told you we were watching it, and we were talking about the ending. And the ending's so cool, like to take place in that compound. You know, it's like it's such a cool arena, you know, because you got the vehicles, you got the missiles, you got the, you know, the two stories and everything. You got the giggly general who you just want to smack the shit out of and take that fan and shove it up his ass. But you know, that's which thing. And I love when you and Bill passes out. That's a classic scene where he's like, man, he just looks at him. He's like, all right, I got this, you know. But yeah, 30 Dozen meets Rambo meets Fist of Fury, bombs, bullets, fist, feet. I mean, as an action fan, it can't be beat. Hey, that rhymed. Oh my god!
People getting stabbed in the ass.
People getting stabbed. Yeah,
it's got everything.
People getting stabbed in it. And then one more thing, I just loved how like not once but multiple times did you have people start yelling in slow mo, and then they start to play that dun, 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 and they're like running in slow. They're like ah, and then they like jump in the air and throw their knives and stuff like that. She does it. Sammo does it. I'm like when I was like what 18, 19, I was like, this is the greatest movie ever.
Is that music? Is that clip of music what Tarantino used in *Inglourious Bastards*? For
Yeah,
that
someone
running, slow-mo running.
Earlier in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's like the same thing, like the same slow-mo running. I'm like, oh, what a good piece of music! Hey,
but it just psychs you up. You're just like you start running with them. You're like, yes.
That's why I was like.
This is and you're like, this is just gonna end cool, and then of course it did, you know. So like, this is gonna have a cool ending. So.
And I love how they played that same track again at the end, where it was like Sammo took off the bandana, and that was it.
Yeah,
it's time to. I'm going to finish you off now. Music.
He's on. Yeah,
it's no good.
So yeah, yep.
Kung Fu Santa.
Yep. Well, guys, it's fascinating to hear because I saw this originally in Hong Kong, and it was different. And I saw it in New York's Chinatown. It's different again. And of course, I wasn't on the set, but I met Sammo and talked to him and all this stuff. And it's fascinating to hear the Western point of view, seeing this movie out of order and out of context. So I'm going to read from the Book of Rick to give you an idea of what it was like from Sammo and his Hong Kong audience's point of view. The other thing I wanted to say, oh no, don't do a close up of me. I can't stand it.
I'm trying to dramatic
you're doing the
purposes,
shirt?
Rick.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. The shirt, I'm wearing my Sammo shirt, which is from Warriors 2. I don't have an Eastern Condors.
Hello,
Hey,
Anubis.
hey,
How are
DJ.
you?
What are you doing? What are
Yeah,
you doing?
what are you
You're
doing?
just
Get out.
you're so handsome, Anubis. I had to
Oh,
blow
okay.
you up there.
No,
Go ahead, Rick.
just leave it the way it is. Anyway, you're talking about this as a number your top Sammo movie. For me, this shares the crown with The Prodigal Son. He also made
All right.
Prodigal Son, which is his best classic kung fu film. And
I
again,
haven't seen that one either, by the way.
Oh,
Oh, Anubis.
that's the next on your list. And
Yeah.
also, again, get the book and get the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, at the same time Sammo conceived The Prodigal Son, he also came up with the brainstorm of HAM, horror action movies. Since I was a small boy, I heard all kinds of ghost stories from my mother and my master in the Peking Opera School. All the old people told me all these great stories of the supernatural until I became afraid of the dark. I still am. So Sammo created Encounters of the Spooky Con, as well as The Dead and the Deadly, and most notably the Mr. Vampire series, starring the personable Lam Ching Ying as the one-eyebrow priest and featuring the fascinating Chinese hopping dead known as the Goyon Shi. Oh, hey, Brickwell.
Sam, welcome.
Sorry for being late, everyone. I
That's
got
right.
off work 1 minute ago and rushed over.
Do you
We
want him
appreciate
to do his opinion, and
No,
then I'll go back to the Book
Go
of
ahead,
Rick?
go ahead and finish, Rick. Go ahead.
Well, it's going to be a bit. All right. By then, a Sammo Hung fight scene was as recognizable as a medicine ball on a golf course. In his own movies, Jackie Chan would toss an opponent off screen. In a Sammo Hung movie, he beat and kicked them insensible, even plant a machete in their heads. Sammo himself, despite spotlighting Wing Chun in Warriors 2 and Prodigal Son, leaned toward the more externally powerful-looking Hung Gar to bounce his opponents all over the set. Things proceeded smoothly and profitably through the landmark Three Brothers movies until after Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, Jackie didn't want to play anymore. Sammo responded by plunging into a plethora of productions as producer, choreographer, and director through his production companies Garbo, Bojo, and Boho. It was at that moment that the Shaw Brothers closed its film units, and suddenly dozens of Hung's associates were out of work. Although he maintained that had nothing to do with it, suddenly Sammo mounted two of his most expensive, expansive movies ever, which called for a large cast of experienced kung fu talent. Millionaire's Express, 1986, was a catch-as-catch-can action movie with hunks of spaghetti western thrown in, featuring an entire western-style town that the studio built in the middle of nowhere, filled with more than 36 action and comedy stars, including Yun Biao, Shi Qian, Jimmy Wang Yu, Dick T.Y., Eric Zhang, Cynthia Rothrock, Richard Norton, Johnny Wang Lung Wai, Sao Ho, Philip Kao Fei, and La Chao Young, many people from the Shaw Brothers. Although it featured a full-scale kung fu free-for-all finale with the entire cast, the rest was an exercise in time-filling. It took 3 months to prepare and 5 months to shoot, Sammo recalled. It was a lot of work, but it wasn't difficult. But it was expensive and didn't exactly set box office records. And then came Eastern Condors, which many Westerners consider Sammo's masterpiece, being just about the only film where Sammo's weight is never even mentioned. But others consider it a camp classic, others in Hong Kong. Combining The Dirty Dozen and The Deer Hunter with a James Bondian climax, it featured another large cast crammed with renowned kung fu stars, as well as Oscar winner Hang Nor, directors Yuen Woo-ping and Corey Yun Kwai, and Yu Hua in a career-making performance as a supremely creepy, cunning, and capable Viet Cong villain. It also showcased Sammo's future wife, the statuesque green-eyed ex-Miss Hong Kong, Joyce Mina Godenzi. Quote from Sammo. Pre-production started in July 1987, Sammo explained. We started shooting in November 1987 in Canada. We shot for a month, then went to Hong Kong to film a basketball scene. That took a month, and we wound up editing it out. Then we went to Bangkok for a month. In January 1980, we all go to the Philippines and spent 5 months there. Finally, we came back to Hong Kong and spent another month there. We finished in June 1988. Altogether, almost a year. Although it had plenty of entertainment value, Sammo's Asian audience and studio began to think he was taking advantage of them. So that's what the situation was from the Hong Kong side. And that's the chaos. One of the things about this movie and about all of his movies is he's not like Jackie. He's not like Bruce. This wasn't scripted. This was, done Charlie Chaplin style. Come to the set, try to figure out what you're going to do. And since he had a huge cast, he had all these brilliant people creating their own characters, creating their own styles, and then he put them all together. And also he comes from a history of all these great filmmakers who are able to put multiple fights in the same shot without losing focus. Lee So-nam, who's a Taiwanese director, was a master at that. And you could see in the huge climactic fight that he would have a fight here, but he would also have a fight up here. He would have a fight over there. And he would then go and focus on each of these fights. So one of the great things about Sammo, probably the thing that he was best at, was editing. He knew Kung Fu, but he knew editing extremely. And that was the other thing that Sammo told me at one point. When Jackie makes a movie, the camera is locked down and Jackie moves. When Sammo makes a movie, the camera is all over the place. He uses the camera like a Kung Fu weapon. And again, you compare and contrast the two styles, and it's fascinating to see. The other thing is that ideas came from everywhere. Like I said, this movie is Deer Hunter. This movie is James Bond. This movie is a bunch of. You can just pick out a bunch. Dirty Dozen. There's all sorts of things. And the other thing that I loved about Yun Biao is that haircut that somebody else mentioned. That's right out of anime. They took that because they were watching anime, so they took that haircut was directly a steal from anime. They said, let's give him an anime haircut, even though it's nonsense because that blocks his vision. And so it was a crazy movie, and unfortunately, this was similar to what he did next, which was Lucky Stars Go Places, and that's when the entire Asian audience just rejected Sammo. And that's when the studio said, you're just wasting our money. You're just doing whatever you want. And I was listening today about a podcast about how the follow-up to the Deer, what's the follow-up to the Deer Hunter?
Oh, Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate was made.
Yeah, huge flop.
And this was not a huge flop, but this turned the audience against it. However, from my point of view, it was just a wonderful phantasmagorical. And of course, I didn't watch it like a regular movie. Unlike me and every other movie ever made, I'm not looking at plot. I'm not looking at character. I am looking at, this is, again, a mayhem musical. This is Kung Fu. Again, you guys keep on saying martial arts, and I'm saying this is not martial arts. This is Kung Fu at its best, because martial arts, you can pretty much teach everybody, in a week or so how to do it. But Kung Fu, you need years and years and years of training. These guys are great dancers, are great ballet people, are great opera people. They're called upon and they're doing it. Yeah, but again, you compare it to everything that he does at the end of the movie as well. The only thing that I didn't like about this movie, as a matter of fact, I was really annoyed. Basically, Sammo Hung was the Shaw brothers' Yun Biao. Sammo Hung was in all of the La Caillon movies, and he was being groomed as a huge star. And when the Shaw brothers closed down, they cut his legs out from under him. And so when Sammo hired him and put him in this movie, I said, that's awesome. But he's entirely wasted in this. I don't think he does a moment of Kung Fu in this whole movie. And I don't know whether that was because, Yun Biao didn't want to be overshadowed or whatever, or, we're going to punish him. But yeah, his Sao Ho's treatment in this movie made me very sad.
Copy that.
Got him a paycheck though, and I think it's kind of cool that he kept him working.
Yeah,
He was,
well, and also
he was in Sammo's crew for quite a while.
Sammo's a great, but that was the one thing that Sammo wouldn't talk about, because I called him on. I said, what they, Sao Ho, what WTF?
Yeah.
And he sort of went Sao Ho, and then he went on to another subject.
Same kind of thing happens in Millionaire's Express too. He's in there too, but doesn't really have a huge amount to do. He gets a little bit more, isn't he? He's one of like the old monks in the Iron Fisted Monk, I think. He was part of Sammo's crew for quite a long time.
Yeah, so Sammo always maintains it, but I really do think that either I'm pretty sure Yun is such a sweet guy because I've met him as well. And so I don't believe Yun Biao said, no, he would overshadow me. I'm pretty sure Sammo made the decision going, yeah, if we put both of them doing, because they're both the basic same size. And there is a wonderful moment in the Millionaire's Express where Sao Ho and I think Yun shake hands. They do this thing together and then they shake hands together. I was going, that's great.
But otherwise, surprised if he was doubling for some of the girls at quite a few of the shots as well.
Oh, I would not be at all surprised. Yeah, there we go.
Shall hold lock the fridge.
No, I'm telling you, Joyce locked the fridge. Joyce locked the fridge.
Well, he has arrived late, but hey, better late than never, brother. That's right. Author, hold on, I gotta set it up. Author of extreme horror novel. That's right. South of the Mason-Dixon. Oh yeah, make sure you guys pick up your copy of this. You can find it on Amazon. The finale. That's right. Made my jaw drop. The best horror novel I've read in years. It pulls no punches, baby. There's some guy named PhatSamuraiGuy on the cover of the book here.
Let me just
that guy.
Let me just say one more thing about Joyce. For you commented before, which is Joyce didn't want to make any other movies. These movies were not pleasant for her at all. Right. But she did a wonderful performance in this, and she was happy never to have to do any more.
But let's blow them up. Welcome to the show, brother. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me. It has been a while, yeah.
Is this going to be the first Versus episode where your pick will win?
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah,
he's not Joel, so he's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, while Rick did a ninja vanish in the background there. Sam, before we move on to the next movie, thoughts on Eastern Condors, brother?
Okay, so you guys haven't talked Bull in the Head yet, just purely Eastern Condors. Okay, great. So I happen to have just recently watched Eastern Condors right before you asked me about doing this thing. Just like coincidentally, I had watched it. I've been going through lots of Sammo's directorial work. Like I watched Millionaire's Express, like
Destiny.
Kung Fu Santa was just talking about. I just watched Pedicab Driver.
Yeah.
Which had some ups and downs, and then I just watched Eastern Condors. Yeah. I think it's one of Sammo's better directorial efforts out of what I've seen, but he does still have quite a few I haven't seen. Like I haven't seen the Lucky Stars movies yet, for example. The highlights for me are, of course, the action sequences. I love, I think the absolute highlight for me is Sammo killing guys with leaves, because that's just so inventive and you really never see, there it is. You never see that anywhere else. Yeah, it's a fun one. I will have to say, I don't know how you guys watched it, or I don't know how many different versions are out there, but I would like to rewatch it at some point with subtitles, because the only version I found was a dub, and it was a awful dub. It was the kind of dub where, like,
unfortunately,
the dub guys are doing like awful, like stereotypical accents and stuff, and they seem like they're just making stuff up. Like I don't even, So that takes away from it a little bit. I don't hold that against the movie itself, because obviously that's not the movie itself, but just to like acknowledge that it does affect the viewing experience, like whether consciously or subconsciously, So that takes away a little bit from it. I kind of like Kung Fu Santa, they were saying about how like it's kind of made up as they go along, and I think it's not a case where that's like, wow, I had no idea. I think it's like obviously you made it up as you go along. Yeah, I think it's very clear that they don't really know what the plot is as they're going through it, and I think that is a pretty substantial problem with it. for me. Whenever there's not fighting going on in Eastern Condors, it's kind of like, okay, what is their goal here? Where are they trying to get? What are they trying to do? Like the whole like missile silo section, the like weapons of mass destruction ending would work so much better if that was clearly defined at the start of the movie. But all you kind of get is a sense that like they have a mission that they need to do, and you don't really know what the mission is. It's like, we know, okay, it's a Dirty Dozen situation, but in the Dirty Dozen, it's like, okay, here are the stakes, here's the goal, here's exactly what you need to do, here's why it's going to be difficult. And this one, it's kind of like, okay, you're in the jungle, and they're trying to do something, and eventually you'll figure out what that something is. But outside of that, all the action's really fun, and the characters are fun. Sammo feels very, he feels more like, I don't know. It's surprising how violent this one gets. He tended to get a little more violent in his directorial work in general, but like, especially in the end when like the woman gets her hand chopped off and stuff, there's some like kind of, cringe-inducing moments. The good kind of cringe, not the bad kind of cringe. Overall, kind of a mixed bag. Maybe you guys already mentioned this, and I didn't like go back and check, but I'm pretty sure that the music cue that plays when Sammo's bouncing, like with the machete behind the bunkers and stuff, I'm pretty sure that's the same music cue that Tarantino used for the.
We mentioned that
slow
earlier.
motion.
Yeah.
Okay, you did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's got to be.
Quentin knows what's up.
Yeah.
But glad you enjoyed it. I know that's how you can tell a movie's good, when you could still enjoy it with horribly bad English dubbing. But you can still have fun with it. All right, cool, man. But it's funny you brought up the whole making it up as they went along, Sam, because if you think about it, even, I don't know, Matt, about 45 minutes in, maybe, even the characters stop and they're like, all right, are you going to tell us what the goddamn mission is? Or we're not going to go with you, goddamn it. We're going to throw our guns down. Tell us what's happening. Even the characters themselves say that, but it's all in good fun. Now, let us move along here. Oh, wait a minute. I got to show this picture. So, yeah, again, Ewan Wah's A Treasure is glorious, and this might be an upcoming Facebook cover that I need to put there and represent. But, yeah, this is just amazing. He is amazing. And shout out to Lam Ching Yi, too. Is great in the movie. Man, what a death he had. That was a holy shit death he had in the movie. But, yeah, everyone's phenomenal on that. I know, yeah.
I mean, that's how you take out a bad guy. You put a grenade in his mouth and then just jump out of the way.
That's it. That's all you got to do. But now, John Woo's Bullet in the Head. I have the old, old crusty Hong Kong Legends DVD. The 2-disc Hong Kong Legends DVD. Yes. Yeah. I don't know if it. Ooh, you have a fancy cover. Oh no, it's nice, brother. Yeah. Ooh, yes, physical media. Yes. And I think that was the first time I saw it, and I was completely blown away by A Bullet in the Head, and I was just kind of like, why is nobody talking about this movie? It stayed with me for many years, to the point recently I've actually, even before Rick threw it down for verses, I've always thought about doing it. Like, is it underrated John Woo film in his filmography? And I think it is. I mean, that may be a future episode, but we're going to gush about it here, so maybe not. But really enjoyed it. But, dude, I'm going to jump the gun here. Simon is the fucking man yam. Okay? He is the man in this. I want 5 movies with just a prequel of this character leading up. I mean, he just stole the film. And I'm wondering if that was my introduction to him. I'm not sure. But this was definitely one of the movies and roles where it made me a Simon Yam fan. He was so good. Sorry, I had to get straight to that. Plot synopsis, Billy, for Bullet in the Head.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull it up here. Let's see. When 3 close friends escape from Hong Kong to wartime Saigon to start a criminal's life, they all go through a harrowing experience which totally shatters their lives and their friendship forever.
Yes. I already knew about Tony Leung, and he's such a great actor. I've seen earlier works before this. This might have been an early Jackie Chung experience for me too, despite A Chinese Ghost Story and some other movies. It's just a great movie. But here's the thing: You got to be in the mood to watch this kind of movie. Me, movies like this, it's Tuesday for Samurai Guy. This is like nothing. You know what I mean? Like, hey, baby, what do you want to watch for Valentine's Day? Bullet in the head. Fuck it. That's how Samurai Guy rolls over here. So, like, for me, it's nothing. But for other people, this is not a family picture. Like, let's bring Billy and Timmy. Let's sit down with some popcorn. Let's watch this as a family. This is not that kind of movie. But for me, it's Tuesday. But yeah, just it's dark, gritty, violent, and man, that shootout in the club is just like peak John Woo. And this was before Hard Boiled, and it's just so good. It's intense, but I'm going to wait to see what everyone else thinks about the third act, the finale. Give me your thoughts on that. I'm curious. I didn't have an issue with it, but something did feel off. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about the third act and the finale. So, but yeah, I love this movie. It's great. I still consider it extremely underrated in John Woo's filmography. And this is John Woo's this is his favorite movie he has done out of all the films he's made. So I thought it was going to be Silent Night. Silent Night was his favorite movie. But yeah, love this film. It's a shame. It's really hard to find, and you can't even find this movie streaming.
Nope.
I was talking to the commentary beast, Frank Jang, like, come on, 88 films, Eureka, is anybody going to release this movie? And he's like, it doesn't seem like anyone's going to remaster it and release it. That's just a crying shame. So
there's a reason for all of that, which I'll get to.
Okay, cool.
When you get
awesome.
to me.
Awesome. All right, Fanatical, Bullet in the Head.
One that I saw super early on in my Hong Kong journey. Like Matt might be able to kind of remember this one too, but even in the before DVD times in the VHS days, there was an incredible label in the UK called Made in Hong Kong, and they put out Bullet in the Head as amongst a kind of a few other pretty early kind of John Woo movies. So kind of the first and second Better Tomorrow and Bullet in the Head were the first three Woo movies that I can remember seeing. And Bullet in the Head still feels to me like it's a more appropriate A Better Tomorrow 3 than A Better Tomorrow 3. And Rick will maybe speak a bit about that story too, because
I will.
I knew you would. But for me, I think it's the one that should kind of by rights have that title. It's a much better movie than what actually became A Better Tomorrow 3. There's a couple of different cuts of it and a couple of different versions of it. But the version that I saw, certainly the version that was on the VHS and then that went on to the Hong Kong Legends DVD, I still really like. Like Samurai said, you've got to be in the mood for it. But if you are in the mood for that sort of kind of heavy, kind of weighty war movie, it's hard to top. I still think he's maybe got the best performance that Jackie Chung's ever given in a movie out of Jackie Chung. I don't know if he's ever been better. He's been funnier in some things. And he's maybe had some slightly kind of better movies where he does kind of a little bit more action in. But I think this is his best pure acting performance in this movie. I don't know if that can be said for Simon Yam and for Tony Leung, but definitely for Jackie Chung, I think he's never been better than in this movie. And it explores all those themes that John Woo loves so well, that kind of heroic brotherhood at its very, very best and at its finest. So yeah, I absolutely love it, but it is very much a movie that I've got to be in the right mood for, because you don't leave this one feeling quite as good as you do at the end of Eastern Condors. It's a different sort of experience. It's a bit of a war is bad and okay kind of like end result for this one. But yeah, absolutely love it. And I think whilst it's maybe not my favorite John Woo movie, it might be John Woo's best movie in terms of pure cinematic kind of masterpiece stakes.
Copy that. I'm the same way with you there, Fanatical, in terms of I love this movie, but it's not my personal favorite.
Yeah.
But I still love it. Anubis.
Yeah, so much like Eastern Condors, I'd never seen this film, but I am familiar with John Woo, of course. Hard Target, Broken Arrow, Last Hurrah for Chivalry, Red Cliff, which I really love because I like the Dynasty Warrior game. So doing stunt based on that history is a lot of fun. Also, the cast is really strong. Tony Leung, of course, Fenny Yen from The Swordsman, stunning in this film. The thing that I had some issues with in this film, though, was the music taste. It came off a little bit like a Western, which it didn't really fit the vibe of what was going on for me, unlike with Eastern. And then the pacing was a bit weird. So, like, even at the beginning of the film, I didn't really know what was really going on, what these guys were about, other than they were getting in street fights. It didn't really tell me much of what was happening. And then one thing I ran into a problem with too is out of the trio, Frank and Paul, like I just was not very sympathetic to their characters. Frank, you know, he was kind of a goober, so you kind of give him a pass on that. But Paul was like a straight up douchebag. So they just weren't really likable for me. So like I had a hard time getting through this. Ben was pretty cool, but he had his own faults. But I think by the end of it, there was just this weird sequence. I don't know if that's what you were referring to, Samurai, but Ben reconnects with his wife and kid at the end, and then all of a sudden he's starting another war with Paul to finish it off. I'm like, what is going on? Does nobody learn from their mistakes? What are they
Rick
freaking
knows.
doing here?
Rick's gonna tell us.
But yeah, you know, like it was fine. It's definitely a lot of action in here. It's definitely John Woo for sure. I'm not sure if I put up there with his best work, in my personal opinion, but it was interesting for sure.
All right, John.
Yes. So this is my second John Woo movie I saw, because I remember my first one was The Killer, because my cousin had a video store and my mom managed it. And one night she brought home The Killer, and she's like, "Here, this came in today." And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at right now, but it looks freaking awesome. So I put it in, and then 2 hours later, I was like, so I was like, I need to find more John Woo movies, so that, you know, so then I sought out Bullet in the Head, and I kicked myself because I don't know what happened, because I got a copy, and then I, for whatever reason, I've moved so many times in my life, you know, it's like it just got lost. And then I was trying to watch it today. I told you, Samurai, I was having issues with it. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but I remember, you know, and to see these guys, these iconic actors, you know, in their prime, like you know, they're so young. It's like, look how young they all are, you know. It's like, especially Simon Yam, because it's like, you know, he just looks like, I mean, the hair alone is its own character. But yeah, but we'll talk about Eastern Condors, where I love it because like it's military mixed, you know, with kung fu and stuff like that. But this is John Woo, like, you know, you got the John Woo flavor where, you know, you got the urban stuff, you know, you got the shootouts, you know, in the streets and stuff like that. But then it goes full on jungle warfare, and it's like, and most people that I know John Woo through like the Chow Yun Fat movies and stuff like that, and the bullet ballets and stuff like that. But it's like, you know, then I saw Hero Shed No Tears, and I'm like, you know, his other war movie, and I was like, that, you know, it doesn't have like the John Woo style action that most people are used to, but I still dug it because I love Men on a Mission movies. But this one is a heavy one to watch. It's like it's so tragic. It's like Shakespearean. Like these guys try to escape one life and then they just get screwed up. And it just goes from bad to worse. It's like they wanted to make things better and nothing got better. If anything, it just got a whole hell of a lot worse. And you know, and it's just betrayals, and you know, and it's so dark and so gloomy. And like when it's finally over, you're just like, I need to take a shower, I think. This is what I just watched. But yeah, so it's kind of funny that she did this one, because like this is trust me, back in the early 90s, it was not easy to find Hong Kong action movies when you're living in Northeast Ohio. So it's like, and plus, you know, like the internet was like, it was like non-existent, you know, so it was like hard to like, but I was lucky enough that my cousin, like I said, owned like 3 video stores at one time, and he was able to like, he come up to me like, is this the one you're talking about, John? I'm like, yes, it is. Like, give it to me. So I was lucky in that respect. So yeah, so after The Killer, I saw Bullet in the Head, and then there was Heroes Shed No Tears, and then after that, it was just more Chow Yun Fat, you know. Then I saw Hard Boiled, and I was like, that's it. I was like,
Drop the mic.
Yeah, right. I'm out. See you later. Peace. Yeah. You know, so it's like, but like with this one, just real quick to sum up, I like, again, a lot of people say it's not their favorite John Woo. I mean, it's probably not my favorite either. I mean, it's up there though, because like I said, it's like people don't know, like, because I love Wind Talkers, you know, with Nicolas Cage. I love that movie, and it's the belt. Like, there's World War II action scenes in other movies, like Saving Private Ryan, and then there's John Woo doing World War II epic action set pieces. And I remember Wind Talkers watching this one, especially the ending, you know, with the helicopters and you know, and the jungle and everything. And it's one of the best, I think, finales. You know, it's so epic. It's just epic with a capital E, and I love it. So
All
This
right.
is Samurai. Like this is my second verses, and you're freaking making it hard for me to.
That's what the
That's
best
what-
verses is.
I know,
That's
right?
That's what
Next,
versus is about.
yeah, I just want one where I'm like not on pain medication. I can make an easy decision. So, all right, that's all I got.
No, well said. Well said. Before we go to Billy, we got some of our special guest vid voters actually watching and hanging out with us. We got Times Square. What's up, brother? Good to
Hey,
see the
Frankie.
show. Good to see the Shogun. What's up, Frankie? And apparently there was 3 cuts of this movie. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I read that too. Yeah, yeah.
I've only seen 2.
I got news for you. There were more.
Oh,
Oh,
of course,
probably.
Of course.
Again,
there's like-
wait for me. Wait for me. I'll let you know.
Well, it's good to see you,
I don't.
Frankie.
Which one did I see? I don't even know.
And,
I was going. What my first line was that every single one of you may have seen a different cut.
right.
Quite possible.
There were enough.
Quite
And
possible.
Martial Arts Film Freak is here watching us too. Good to see you, Tristan. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
We'll get to their vid votes a little bit later. All right, Billy.
Nice.
A bullet
Well,
in the head.
I have to agree. I am kind of mad at you for making me choose between these 2 movies, but it's okay. I'm hoping that one of you will sway me in the direction. No, because this one was like very similar to Eastern Condors. Like I hadn't seen this one before either. And I knew nothing about the plot of it at all, and so I just said I'm just gonna go in completely blind to both of them, and I'll just see how they both hit me.
Perfect.
And this one really surprised me. It crept up on me because in the very beginning I was like, what's happening? I think Anubis was talking about like the beginning is really jarring and like
yeah.
you don't kind of know what you're following or what you're watching. There's just like a fight scene and then they're playing I'm a Believer over it. And I was like, now they're dancing. Now there's an Elvis joke. And it's like it really takes a minute, but once you know it gets going and like you just kind of start on this epic. I was really pulled into it, and once I realized that what we were doing was this really epic adventure with lots of different almost vignettes of situations that they were getting into, I was into it. And you know, it started giving me in the beginning. I had just watched Wong Kar-wai's As Tears Go By, and I was like, those were really on par for me, like really stylized sort of urban crime kind of stories with a small group of friends. It also was giving me like RRR vibes with them riding the bikes and everyone's all happy and stuff. So I don't know. I was just kind of blown away by the style of it right from the start. And someone mentioned the score being a little weird. Did anyone else think the score was just Happy Birthday? It just sounded like Happy Birthday playing over and over and over. I don't know if that was just me, but even my wife walked in. She's like, is that Happy Birthday playing in the background? Okay. But there were some like seriously memorable scenes that I don't think I'm ever going to forget. Like, you know, in early on in the movie when they finally get to Saigon and they get sort of caught up in the crossfire of vigilante blowing up a car. Yeah, this scene right here, they end up executing the kid that did it right in front of them, but then they step on the kid's head and they're squeezing blood out of his head. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like I had to look away for a minute. And it's hard to get me to physically react to movies like that. But you know, what I love is that it's not pulling any punches. Like, hey, we're going into the middle of a war zone. You're going to see some horrible shit and we're not going to pull away from that. And that's kind of the point of what they go through, is this really harrowing journey. And I loved all of that. Like every situation that they just sort of escalate from, you know, they have to flee Hong Kong because they accidentally murder the local shitty crime boss. So they flee and then they encounter the guy that's running the nightclub and he's way worse. And I just kept thinking they were going to die or one of them was going to die. And they just kept slithering out of these really violent, crazy situations. And I love the character, the singer, and I forget her name offhand, but the woman they bump into in the nightclub who's basically being held hostage by this guy.
Sally.
And yeah, Sally. And they're working to rescue her from there. And then that goes its own way. And I don't know. I was just sort of fascinated that they just kept going from a reason to fight to another reason to fight to another reason to fight. Yeah, as soon as as soon as Simon Yam showed up, I was like, who is this guy? This is the coolest dude I've ever seen in my life. I need to see every movie that he's in. I mean, he was
They're
like
making them like 20 a year, I think.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen him before. I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've come across him, but this is the first time I'm like, I'm going to note this guy. But he was reminding me of like Alain Delon, and we talked about the samurai, I think, in one of the last videos we did. But he was a really impactful character. God, what else? I could talk all day about like the little pieces that I liked, but I mean, like they're horrible torture scenes where they're just being forced to kill the other prisoners, and like you just feel it, you know, and you know at some point it's going to turn around, it's going to get violent, they're going to get out of it probably, but it's just horrible to watch, and
in a good way.
In a good way. Like the heaviness is necessary for what they're going through and what ends up happening to them. And you know, I think in anything like this, in any war kind of movie, I love a tragedy. You know, I think something that shows even after they escape the danger, the tragedy continues after that. That's my kind of story too. And I also love that as soon as the Americans show up, everything explodes. everything explodes. And it just, and I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, man, the third act was where I really started going, okay, yeah, this is like the John Woo that I'm most familiar with, the driving around in cars and shooting out the windows and the fires all around and the two guys shooting at each other and really emotional gunfight basically. But I did think at the end, and this is one of the few things in the movie that I wasn't really happy with, was I just kept going, all right, one of you kill the other one. I'm ready for this to be done now. Like it was really, really slow and monotonous. And it's probably like 15 straight minutes of them hitting cars together. And then one of the cars flips and then they're shooting at each other and they hit each other and they both fall. And then they come together and, you know, it does end in a really interesting and almost like poetic way with him talking to the skull of his dead friend. And then they both have to like reenact some of the most horrible things that they went through. So I do think the very end is interesting, the way that Tony Leung ends up, you know, killing Frank and living and surviving. It took a little while to get there though. And I think that last little bit was a bit of a slog. I was kind of like, come on, we're approaching 220 now. Let's go.
You saw the wrong cut.
Oh,
the original cut didn't have any of that.
Interesting.
But we'll get to me.
Okay,
let's move on. Let's move on.
I think
you failed your mission. You saw the wrong movie.
You saw the wrong version.
Damn it.
I saw his version,
Son
so
of a
I know what
bitch.
he's talking about.
Yeah. I think that was all I had. Yeah. There was like,
I mean, even the Hong Kong Legends version DVD it's this version, so this is probably the most known version. So it's okay.
The one other thing
in America, it's the best known in America.
Right.
Interesting.
In Asia,
the one other
it's
thing
not
I
the
wanted
best
to, the one last thing I wanted to highlight was the weird motif that kept happening, especially in the first half. With there kept being a moment where a character thought they were going to get shot, and then they just moved out of the way, and the person behind them was getting shot. And so, like, they were just overlooked by whoever was doing the killing. I thought that was really fascinating. It was Tony Leung in the bathroom where he stepped out of the way and the guy behind him, that scene right there. And then when, like, right after they robbed that little convenience store, the army shows up and they're like, oh, we surrender. And they're like, will you duck so we can murder the people behind you, please? And then the soldiers mow down people in the jewelry store and rob the jewelry store. And I just thought that was like, there were little fascinating moments like that throughout the whole thing that really elevated this like crime war story. But it also reminded me of the movie Sleeping Dogs, which is this Australian, I think Roger Donaldson's first movie with Sam Neill. Just people getting swept up into a war. But anyway, I love this one too.
All right, copy that. Matt, I got to give you a shout out, brother. I got to give Matt a shout out. It is late as fuck where he is right now, and again, I appreciate you hanging in there, brother. Because I see the you know.
I also just talked for a long time.
At home, man. Fanatical's up all night, man. Fanatical's a vampire. But Matt, I appreciate you being here and making it through this, man. Matt,
no problem. Gosh, I don't know how I can add to all of this. I think you've all kind of pretty much covered it. But I mean, apparently there's rumor that this was a prequel to A Better Tomorrow. I heard rumors about that in cinema, something to do with Cinema City. We're going to treat it as a prequel to that. But wow, I hadn't seen it in so long. The first time I saw it was back in '93. They brought John Woo over to the UK for hard target release, and they did a couple of screenings over here. And I got to see it at the cinema, which was absolutely the best place to see it. So I was
Wow.
very lucky because
Oh, cool.
that was the time with all the bootlegs doing the rounds. You know, it was so hard to get hold of the films over here in good quality. So to see one at the cinema was incredible. And you know, I was absolutely blown away by it, to be honest. From a technical standpoint, the way it was directed, the style of it, the editing. I mean, apparently John Woo edited it. As far as I know, that's what it said. So you take some of the scenes at the opening where it's just that gang fight with the cars, with all three of them are fighting, with the knives, with the chains. It's such a brilliantly shot sequence. I mean, if you saw that today, that would be up there with anything, just the way it's shot, the camera angles, everything. And people, we all have to remember this was '93. This is a long time ago, right? So at that time in Hong Kong, this film was head and shoulders technically above 90 odd % of the other films. It has to be said, it really was. I do find it hard to stomach, I'll be honest, the film, as you know. I think Billy was saying, it's got some really gruesome moments in it. Very, very, very dark film. But I'd still give it a 10. You know, as you were saying, Simon Yam. To be honest, for me, it was career best performances for Simon Yam, for Jackie Chung, for you know, for everyone really, and obviously working with one of the best directors Hong Kong's ever produced. You know, and Tony Leung. I mean, gosh, the emotions he has to go through. But one of the scenes that really sticks out for me, I know you were mentioning the bit at the start where they were captured, but the other bit in the camp where they're forced to shoot the American POWs. I mean, it's just horrendous scene, you know, and you know, it gets you every time you watch it, and such a powerful film. But the alternate ending as well, I know no one's kind of touched upon it yet, but I actually prefer the alternate ending than I do the overlong, like you were saying, 15-minute tagged on car chase. It did kind of feel like it was added on. You know, it's like one of those things you'd see in a film where they've just added it on purpose because, oh no, we've got to end it with a big action scene or something. It for me, I did prefer the original end, you know, the alternate ending to the film.
Let me take a guess. Let me take a guess. The alternate ending was when he goes back home and meets his kid, and then it fades out and goes to credits. Or is
the one I saw was the one where he just shoots Weasley in the head.
Oh,
in
shit.
in the boardroom. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it mirrors the scene where Weasley is covering up Jackie Chung's head on the battlefield,
right,
and shoots it. So they keep cutting in between the two, and then
Wow.
So, but it kind of ends a bit, you know.
Right.
It goes to black when you hear the gunshots. It's kind of like, does he shoot him or doesn't he? Kind of scenario.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, it's just an epic tour de force of a movie, really. For rewatchability, I prefer The Killer. I prefer Hard Boiled,
of course,
because obviously they don't get you in the gut as much as Bullet in the Head. But Bullet in the Head is obviously a deeply emotional, personal vision that John Woo at the time really wanted to, you know, to put out there. But yeah, I mean, there's a picture of Jackie Chung there. I mean, just an unbelievable performance from him. Absolutely amazing. Right. You know.
Well said. Sam, let us know how much you hate the movie.
Oh, no. I adore this movie. I love it. It's fantastic. I don't think it's John Woo's best in terms of action, but I think I would consider it his best on a story level, like on a script level and on a character level. Like, okay, none of these guys are as iconic as, the titular killer or Inspector Tequila, but they're a whole lot more complex and dynamic. I think each one of them has a much more impressive and like fully fleshed out character than like the more kind of like straight and narrow action hero guys of his other movies, which and like the movie's packed with great action. Obviously, it probably doesn't have any singular action sequence as good as like the church shootout and the killer, or the tea house or the hospital or the warehouse in Hard Boiled. But the action is still like really good. It still has that great John Woo flair. Like the village shootout is really distinct and memorable in his body of work. I think it stands out in a unique kind of way. I actually really like that really protracted final battle with the car action and all that. I understand the criticisms for it. I think it's totally valid. It does go on for a very long time. But I will say that for me, that protracted length of it kind of fits the theme of the film and those two characters' dynamics for me. Like, I think it's good that it's not easy for these two guys to kill each other. I think it should be a really drawn out, difficult, emotionally draining thing. And I like the fact that they both have to drag each other through hell to get to the end of it. So it works for me on that level.
Nice.
I will say, like, if you're going to criticize this movie for anything, it's easy to say that it's like melodramatic and it can get a little cheesy, but I feel like this is a case where melodrama is earned. Like that moment towards the end where it like intercuts between like the cars and them riding the bikes all happy at the beginning. It would be so easy in the hands of a lesser director for that to be cheesy, for that to be unintentionally funny, but it hits so hard emotionally, the way that John Woo builds up to it and the way he like paces it out. It all works really well. There's a few things that like I said, a lesser director trying to do the same thing, I don't think it would work. I think you could say that about lots of great works by great directors, where it could really only be made this way by John Woo.
Copy that. I have to highlight this comment here. Simon Yam, more like Simon Yum. That made me laugh. Rick.
Yes. Well, let's first of all, Simon Yam, his new movie, which he produced and starred in, is on Hi-Ya now. It just premiered. It's called The Comeback. And if for Simon Yam fans, I strongly recommend it. So it's on Hi-Ya. You can still get the stuff. Now, again, I think it was my first or my second trip to Hong Kong. I'm visiting Choi Hark and his wife, Nansen Shi, at their offices at Cinema City. And in comes this mild-mannered fellow, and they said, "Oh, Rick, this is John Woo. His new movie, A Better Tomorrow, is premiering tomorrow night." And I went, "Oh, I've seen the posters of that around town. Is it a drama about school teachers?" Because if you saw the original poster, it looks like a drama about school teachers. And he goes, "No." And so he signed a poster to me. And by the way, that poster may still be available for sale at, Get a Piece of Me on Chimera Publishing on, you know what it is, Preston.
Yeah. It's in the link. It's in the description box.
It's in the description link. So that the signed poster, he doesn't even sign to me. So that's great. So I know John very well. I got to see the movie the following night and I saw how the movie changed Hong Kong. It's important to know when you're dealing with John Woo, he is a man who changed Hong Kong cinema. Overnight, we went from kung fu and no guns to gun fu and and so that was massive. The audience changed. Up until then, they would watch the movies like they were watching a musical or they were watching a great ballet. But then the guns come in, completely changes everything. So he's doing just terrific. And I got to talk to him about his past. Let me just give you a couple of quotes he gave me. I mean, he had a very impoverished childhood, and he found his escape in movies. And he told me, "I love the musicals. I was fascinated by them. I was inspired by the French New Wave. The concept of the director as auteur was revolutionary and really intrigued me. Small budget, small crews, a single camera. I became determined to be a film director. And he did. And he carried on. He did, he did the movies with Jackie Chan. He did all this, one movie with Jackie Chan. But he also said, and this is all, I learned many things from Chang Che. The importance of brotherhood, filmmaking technique, editing. It was a very important time for me. So he goes through this wonderful string. No one thought that he could take Gun Fu and run with it the way he did, but he was the king of Gun Fu, and eventually around the world. And then, just when everything seemed fine, what we call the Choi Hark syndrome kicked in. He was working for Cinema City and Choi Hark. Choi Hark did this to Jet Li, and he also did it to John Woo, which was Woo wanted to go his own way. Choi Hark wanted Woo to go his way. There's some question as to what happened next, but what is unarguable is that Woo directed Bullet in the Head, while Choi Hark directed A Better Tomorrow 3, which had some interesting similarities to Woo's work. There's no question, however, that Hark worked around, he admitted this to me, Choi Hark admitted this to me, he worked around the clock to beat Bullet in the Head into Hong Kong theaters.
Wow.
There's also little question that Bullet in the Head is the better film, despite contractual alliances that locked Chow Yun-fat into Hark's prequel sequel. Chow Yun-fat couldn't be in Bullet in the Head. And my question to you guys is, do you think Bullet in the Head would have been better with Chow Yun-fat in it?
Yes.
I think the cast is pretty well suited to all their roles. I mean, Chow Yun-fat's great, of course. I'm sure he would have been good in it, but I don't think the movie's like lacking his presence,
No, but I could see him basically doing what I thought Jackie Chung's incredible in the film, but I would assume that he probably would have played that part.
Well,
Hard to say.
The thing that I've gathered over the years is that, of course, Bullet in the Head completely changed when he left Cinema City, and also when Chow Yun-fat couldn't be in it. I think basically all three of those guys, including and Simon Yam, all had pieces of what Chow Yun-fat would have been in that movie.
No, maybe true.
So it's a bunch of them. So when he had to break out and change it, he changed it completely. So A Better Tomorrow, yes.
Can I ask a quick question? Do you know if it's true? I'd heard that Wu couldn't get financing for it and ended up basically having to put up all the cash for it himself.
Yep. That's another reason it turned out the way it did. A Better Tomorrow 3 pictures Chow's character from the first film in Saigon of 1974, showing viewers how he became the man he was. Bullet in the Head is a completely different animal, an epic saga of three Hong Kong friends who seek their fortunes in Vietnam at the worst possible time. Tony Leung Chiu Hua took over for Chow and Wu's work, which would not be the last time he did that. Although smaller in stature, Leung's acting talent is huge, and he suffers better than anyone in cinema. And that skill comes in handy in this bruising classic as friendships dissolve into betrayal and brutality. The title refers to the film's central betrayal as a greedy friend played by Wazi Lee. My favorite line in the whole movie is, "All I want is this box of gold. Is that so much to ask?" Shoots a wounded friend to keep him quiet as they hide during an attack, but instead of killing him, the lead lodged in his skull makes him a pain-racked killing machine. Jackie Chung, once known as Little Jackie because of Jackie Chan's support in his early career, had developed into an extraordinary composer, singer, and actor, and his performance here, as the one with the title Affliction, is beautifully realized. And of course, Tony suffers brilliantly as he's compelled to put his friend out of his misery, building to a final confrontation with the betrayer. Wazi Lee played much the same role in the original A Better Tomorrow. In the original release, the film ends with the screen going dark. Now, I'm fascinated when you saw the scene where Tony shoots Wazi Lee, did you actually see him shoot him in the head? Because in the original cut, the screen went dark and you heard the shot. You didn't actually see the shot. So did somebody
Matt mentioned
Yeah,
that.
no, correct. It's kind of overlapped slightly by a
Okay.
frame. So
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, you're right, Rick. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It goes dark. So they
Yeah.
leave it kind of on a cliffhanger.
You let you assume.
Okay.
But in
Yeah.
subsequent home entertainment releases and also different cuts all over Asia, a longer, different finale. The confrontation extends to the docks where the two ex-friends had an extended, exhausting, ferocious joust with smashing cards and blazing guns. Once again, the connections to Chang Che and Lu Chin Ku's bloody, battering wuxia films can be clearly seen. This is truly gun fu, with automatic weapons replacing swords. Now, a fan can hunt down the many versions of this film available in various incarnations all over the world. Wu's original cut was 3 hours long.
Oh, wow.
The studio's cut was about 2 hours. Film festivals show and certain DVDs contain a 2 hour and 15-minute version that Wu generally approves. But once that was done, it took him a while to recover, but then finally, thanks to Hard Boiled, he did. But you can see the change in him from that movie. And again, it's a literally and figuratively schizophrenic film. And as such, it makes it very, very interesting. This is a filmmaker trying to create a masterpiece under very adverse circumstances. And as such, it's got an energy that's very. And I saw the original version. They showed me the. I saw the basketball scene in Sammo's movie. I saw two different versions. In Hong Kong, I saw the original version, and I thought it was great. And then when I saw it again in Chinatown, New York, at the Sun Sing Cinema, they had the ending, and I was about to get up and leave, and then it continued, and I was like, and then 15 minutes later, I'm like, and I liked it better that way. I liked it not better as a film. I liked seeing the original version. Then I liked seeing the extended version years later. And so it's like, oh, that's cool. So that's the story. Let's see. Did I have any? I had another note that I wanted to mention to you guys. I mentioned Come Back. Simon Yam, right? Anime. Okay, we're good.
All right. Tune in next week for the next chapter of Rick. Yeah, okay, so good. I wanted everyone's opinion on the finale and the ending, and it makes sense, Billy. It makes sense the way you felt. It makes sense, Sam, the way you felt, and yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, number one, they have the worst security ever. Hey, this guy out here just says he's your friend, man. We're gonna bring him in. I'm like, what are you doing? And then he put this skull of his friend, Jackie Chung's. Like, I was like, what is like? This is wild. Wow. I expected him like Matt, just take him out right there, or at least wait till be smart about it. And kind of wait till he gets him alone or something like that, and then takes him out, and then goes back home to his family. But you guys know Samurai Guy. You know how I am. I can't. Hey, I can't help but love the action, man. And Sam, in the history of action movies, I'm sure it exists. I'm sure it's out there. But right now, my mind is blank. I'm getting older. Leave me alone. Sam is in the history of action cinema. Have you seen anything like this? Two cars dueling, two guys shooting, long extended finale action set piece, two guys in the car shooting. Have you seen and dueling like that? Has that ever happened? Everyone can answer this question. Go ahead. Help me out here. Have you ever seen that in any other action movie that exists?
Not exactly. I saw something like it in what was it called? George Romero's movie Night Riders.
Okay.
Oh yeah, where they're literally jousting in like armor and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
But that's it's handled pretty differently though.
Oh,
right.
Much differently. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So let us know, chat. Everybody watching right now. Is there anything?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
In the history of action movies.
And if not, why not? Why not?
Why not like this? But look at the cinema of George Miller.
Right.
Yeah.
and the trailer for the new Furiosa.
Yeah, but is there two characters dueling like this though in the George Miller movie?
Yeah, just two people, two cars
Just two
coming at
people
each
out
other
in the
over and
middle.
over
Yeah,
again. That's what I'm. Yeah, I'm
So-
trying to.
It
I'm
rings a bell,
think
but I'm
of
not
anything.
sure because
Yeah,
they
it rings
had
a
Times
bell for me
Square
too.
says-
But
yeah.
yeah.
White Storm 2. There you
Yeah,
go.
All right.
White Storm 2 is
All right.
what a fantastic film that is, because I
Nice.
think that's the one where they have the underground and the cars go into the Hong Kong underground,
Nice.
and they're having this
Okay.
battle. Phenomenal scene. If no one's seen that, that's a must see.
Yeah.
It's
Wrote it
it's
down.
incredible scene.
I knew Frankie would get it because that guy's an encyclopedia like Sam is. So-
All the White Storm movies are worth seeing.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was awesome talking about both of these movies, and now it is time for one of the most difficult decisions ever.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
dying this whole time. Like
You
as soon as
you
versus started,
Okay.
as versus started, I was like, oh, I have an idea which one I'm going to pick, and then now I'm like, I don't know now.
I'm
So-
taking, just like last time, I'm taking the vote.
All right. Thank you so much for keeping track there.
Yep.
But first, before we get to this panel of legends here,
Yep.
we have some special guest video votes. That's right. Let's go ahead and get these guys on screen here. First up, my man Jake.
Hello there. This is Jake from Jake on Film. As always, exploring the outer edges of the film universe. We basically look at films that are outside the mainstream that not everybody knows about. We've been concentrating, as everybody knows, of course, on the golden age of Hong Kong cinema. Big up to my kung fu brother-in-arms, PhatSamuraiGuy. And he wants me to talk to you about his amazing versus battle, which is Eastern Condors versus Bullet in the Head, and which one's better. Tough ask. Both classic movies, of course, from the golden age. Talking about Vietnam and bloodshed, martial arts, and general craziness. But if I had to pick one, and apparently I do, it's going to have to be Eastern Condors, my absolute legend, Sammo Hung. So many influences here, from the Dirty Dozen to the Deer Hunter, with martial arts, Yen Bu, and Yen Hua as this sort of crazy Vietnamese general. So it's absolute cracker. Bullet in the Head is amazing as well, with John Woo taking his heroic bloodshed to the shores of Vietnam. But yeah, it's got to be Eastern Condors for me. It's a cracker, but let's see what you guys think, and I'll see you all soon. Keep watching.
All right. Shout out to Jake. Next up. All right, now, Frankie.
Yo, what's good, man? This is Frankie Balboa, aka the Shogun Supreme from Times Square Kung Fu, man. Yo, thanks for hitting me up, Fat Samurai. But when you told me this is the comparison, I'm like, bro, really? Just like, this isn't even close. This freaking Bullet in the Head. Better story. You still got John Woo action in this joint. And this thing feels like a Scorsese film, bro. Like, seriously, man, the whole coming of age aspect almost remind me of how the friendship, unraveled in Blood In, Blood Out. But I mean, you got Tony Leung, Jackie Chung, Wesley Lee, and Simon Yam, bro. And Simon Yam still this joint. Got trademark John Woo action still. Amazing music. An amazing set piece in Saigon, man. Like, you get to see a lot of stuff that was going through that period. And it looks like a crazy big budget. Eastern Condors is like typical 80s, action films, from Hong Kong during that period. But when people say this is cinema, Bullet in the Head, this is cinema, man. Y'all already know.
All right. Look at that. Look at that. All right. Next up, another legend.
Hello everybody, my name is Tristan Glover. I'm the Martial Arts Film Freak here on YouTube, also over there on TikTok, and also occasionally one of Eric Jacobus's editors for his whole podcast. Even the one for Rick Myers over here. I did that one. I suppose I'm here to pick which movie I prefer over Bullet in the Head and Eastern Condors. Sammo Hung versus John Woo. And I've got to say, being the martial arts film freak, it's probably pretty obvious which one I'm going with here. You know that I am a big fan of the kung fu, the martial arts, the kicks, the punches, the grips, and the graps. I'm going to go here with Eastern Condors. When you bring together the whole 80s squad, the 90s 80s squad of Joyce Cadenza, Yuan Biao, Sammo Hung, Dick Wei, Billy Chow, Yuan Hua, you got frickin' Yuan Wu Peng in here, you got Corey Yuen in here, you got some more names I know I'm just missing, but Jesus Christ, that's a good time. The movie has everything from fun gunplay to crazy explosions. A man almost got injured jumping off of a flaming boat. Sorry, Chin Karlok. I believe it was Chin Karlok. But also incredible fight scenes. Yuan Biao just throwing down. I love, what's his name? Lam Ching Ying. I think Lam Ching Ying's death is epic. That's weird to say. I like watching that guy die in this movie, specifically. Rest in peace. Love you. I have a video on my channel of the 5 essential films of Sammo Hung. 5 films for anybody just getting into the world of Kung Fu and martial arts cinema to introduce them to Sammo Hung. And there is a reason that Eastern Condors is 100% on that list. It is because it is one of the greatest action martial arts films ever made. One of Sammo Hung's best, an undeniable classic. I love John Woo. Bullet in the Head was a lot of fun, kind of depressing, made me sad. I thought it was going to be like The Outsiders with gunplay. But, they kill somebody. Oh my god, they have to go on the run. They have to have some life-changing events. Then their lives kept changing and changing and changing. And I got sad. But despite that fun, sad time, I can't deny that Eastern Condors is one of my very favorite Sammo Hung films. I love it, and I cannot deny that I do prefer it over Bullet in the Head. So my vote is for Eastern Condors. Have a good day. Thank you for having me.
All right. Shout out to Tristan. Great job. All right, next up, filmmaker James Couché.
Hey, what's up, Versus Crew? Sorry I wasn't able to make it today, but I would really, really love to weigh in on these 2 movies. Both of them are made by Hong Kong directors at the top of their game, and both of them take place in Vietnam. It's a side of the Vietnam conflict we haven't really seen because we're so used to seeing the American military side of things that it just kind of made it really interesting. But that's about where these movie similarities end. You could not have picked 2 more different movies. On one end of things, you have John Woo making what is probably his most personal film. And on the other side of things, you have Sammo Hung just making an action extravaganza. And, anyone who knows me and has seen my work can probably guess that my choice of winner here is Bullet in the Head. But let me explain briefly why. So, Bullet in the Head is a lot. It's a lot of story, a lot of characters, a lot of action, a lot of emotions. It's all done very cinematically. This is Woo coming right off of his, he done A Better Tomorrow 1, Better Tomorrow 2, The Killer. He was about to go do, Hard Boiled and then Hard Target. Like, this guy was absolutely on a roll. And this movie was made right in the center of all that, and you can feel it. The action is still beautiful and poetic, but it's a lot more grounded. You're not going to see as many guys diving through the air firing 2 guns, which is kind of a neat trick. But ultimately, there's just so much to it, whereas Eastern Condors, it has real directed by a former stuntman energy. And by that I mean the stunt work is absolutely phenomenal. It is amazing, it's great. There's a lot of fights. The fights in the movie are just very high quality. It's very Sammo. But at the same time, the characters are pretty stock. The story is not really that interesting. And also the way the movie is shot, it's shot in a very kind of utilitarian way. It's as if it's designed to display the stunts as well as possible without really being all that cinematic. Whereas when you watch Bullet in the Head, it is great stunts that are done in a very cinematic way. So Eastern Condors does one thing really, really well, whereas Bullet in the Head does a lot of things really, really well. And that's why I've made this choice. But once again, thanks for letting me chime in. And if you haven't seen it yet, go check out Lost Phoenix, streaming now on Tubi and Amazon Prime.
All right, thank you, James. We're 2-2. Holy shit, we're 2-2. Uh-oh, we got another legend here. Mark Strange.
Hey, Preston. Mark Strange here from Ip Man 4 and Redcon 1. Yeah, that's a tough one, mate. Tough one. Eastern Condors, Bullet in the Head. I'm a huge fan of John Woo's action. It's, wow, hard-boiled, hard target. Just incredible. What an incredible director. His action is, his gun action's incredible, and I'm a huge fan. But Eastern Condors, it's got Sammo Hung, it's got Yun Biao. I grew up with them guys. Their martial arts action is incredible, the choreography. So on this occasion, I've got to go with Eastern Condors. I do like them both, though. Have a great day, guys. I'm currently in the Amalfi Coast, which looks so beautiful. Show the views here. All the best. See you soon.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for rubbing it in.
Yeah,
I want to be there. God damn it.
Best location goes to.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Mark. Can't wait to see what he's done. Actually, going to do next. He's giving me a little like, hey, get ready. I got some awesome stuff coming up, so I can't wait to see.
Yes, you can wait.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Is that better?
All right. It's truthful.
Next up, you guys know who this guy is.
Hello, friend Jang here, the Commentary Beast, with my vote on Bullet in the Head versus Eastern Condors. Bullet in the Head is actually kind of like a personal film for me. I saw it in Hong Kong in 1990 when it first came out during that first week of release. And I still remember that scene when, Tony Leung and them were being, held at gunpoint by the Vietnamese soldiers, and then Tony Leung held up the Hong Kong British passport saying we're Hong Kong people, and then the Vietnamese soldiers just ignored them. That was like a rather emotional scene for a lot of Hong Kong people at that time, coming right after the Tiananmen incident. And so I still remember audiences crying in that scene. And of course, a great gunfight, great acting between Tony Leung, Jackie Chan, especially, and Wai Lee, Simon Yam. With that said, though, when I saw it, it was the ballroom ending. And it just felt kind of weird not to have anybody stopping Tony Leung from shooting Wai Lee in the head at the end. And then later on, when I saw the revised ending, with the gunfight, starting with the parking lot and all that, it just felt kind of tagged on. It just wasn't smoothly executed because obviously it was, reshot for the ending. And so the way it was connected to the boardroom, it just always felt kind of awkward for me. And I think it kind of really hurt the film. Eastern Condors, on the other hand, what can you say? Great action. Sammo Hung had the high-risk powers. Great cinematography shot in the Philippines. Sammo lost 50 pounds for a wonderful fight, wonderful James Bond-like finale, and all these stars, Mo Ping, Corey Yun, Yasuaki Kurada, Dick Wai. So really, I mean, and also it feels like it's more of an international film. It felt like a more ambitious film, and definitely Sammo Hung's best film. So even though I love Bullet in the Head, I think it is John Woo's best film. Overall, my vote has to go to Sammo Hung's Eastern Condors. And of course, I did a commentary for it on the Eureka Disc. So please check that out. Until next time, take care and bye-bye.
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 Shout out to the legend that is Frank Jang. All right. We, I think, what it was, Eastern Condors is up 2, I think, right?
Yes, it is.
All right. Now it's time for our panelists to vote here. And a quick reminder, everybody watching, when we vote here, it doesn't, you could be biased. It doesn't matter. You could be a critic about it. Or you could be biased. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your reasons is your reasons. It's all welcome. Fanatical. Who you got, son? Silent Night.
Jumping straight to the answer first, and I'll explain why. It got to be Eastern Condors.
Okay.
I think this is Versus, and Versus celebrates action cinema, and for me, action will always be the thing that kind of captures my heart, and Eastern Condors is the better action movie. Bullet in the Head is arguably the better cinematic movie, but I don't kind of feel that's really what this is about. And I think Eastern Condors, you could stick on at any point and I'll watch it happily. I've really got to be in the right mood for Bullet in the Head because it's a tough sit, right? And I think it's an incredible achievement. I know it's Woo's most personal movie, and it's not the Woo movie that I go back to if I'm going to stick on one of his films. And so almost for that alone, Eastern Condors is taking the prize for me tonight.
All right. Man, I have no idea what Sam and Billy's going to pick. I'm going to go straight to Billy.
Oh, man. Now I got to pick one. No, I think I've been leaning more toward Bullet in the Head. I think that's going to get my
All right.
Tonight. It's a sweeping epic, and it's a Shakespearean tragedy, and I was so impressed by Eastern Condors, and I was like into it the whole time. But I do think Bullet in the Head is going to leave a longer impact and impression on me. And I thought at the end, what was about to happen, and I thought I was so smart and I'd figured it out. I thought he put explosives in the skull because they had the beginning. I thought he was leaving that skull and walking away, and it was going to pop.
That would have been epic.
But I thought that's what. But either way, yeah, bullet in the head for me.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I think this is a great matchup, but it's an easy decision for me, and it's easily bullet in the head.
Wow, look at that.
No question about it.
Okay.
Copy that. Nubis.
I'm honored to see. I've seen both of these now. Like, I'm always wanting and desiring to see as many martial arts and action films as I can. This was a couple of films that I had never gotten to see before, so it was a real joy. But like I said, with Bullet in the Head, the pacing's off. Maybe it's just maybe a little bit too dark. Sometimes I don't like dark movies. I guess I just wasn't into this particular one. But Eastern Condors was just a lot of fun, top from start to finish. I liked everything about it. Everything flowed. The choreography was amazing. So I'm going with Eastern Condors.
Okay. All right. Where are we at now, Rick?
We are at 6-4.
All right. All right. John.
Yes. My turn. Okay. Well, if it was like hard boiled or like, I probably would have went that route. And again, I'm kind of biased because like I've had, like I said, I've had this for years, and I watch it all the time, and I know it's not a sweeping epic like Bullet in the Head is, but that's not what I'm talking about. Yeah, well, I mean, you know what I mean, though. I mean, like if you put the two together, it's like it's like one the Oscars would lean to as opposed to the other one, So, but
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, they're not going for either of these really, but.
It's a metaphor anyway, but so I'm going with Eastern Condors just because one, I love men on a mission movies, and I said it earlier, when you have men on a mission movies where you not only have bullets and bombs, but you have fist to feet, and you have Sammo Hung at the top of his game, and everybody's at the top of their game, and it's just a fun movie, and the ending kicks ass. Like you said, Samurai, it's a crowd pleaser. You just watch it. And it's one of those endings where you're just like, I want to watch it again. Just the ending. Let me just rewind and watch the ending again. Bullet in the Head, like I said, I'm gonna find it and get another copy of it. And who knows what copy I'll get? I was like, but yeah, in terms of that, Eastern Condors, it's always been a favorite of mine, and I just love it. It's just one of my favorites.
All right, copy that. Matt.
Gosh, one of the toughest decisions I think I'd ever have to make.
Oh,
and
I hope
to
it
be
is.
honest with you, I hope this turns out to be a tie. I don't know if that's even possible. I haven't counted how many votes there are, but if it ends up a tie, I would be happy because I personally think, to me, they're both 10 out of 10 films. If I had to decide, I would go for Eastern Condors.
All right, look at that.
If I had to decide, but to be honest, to me, I love them both equally, but I do agree with the guys. I think Bullet in the Head is a tough watch because of obviously the dark and serious nature of it. Eastern Condors is a much more popcorn friendly watch, but to me, both equally amazing films in their own right. Both very different films, as we all know. So yeah, great examples of Hong Kong cinema.
All right, Kung Fu Santa.
Well, there you go. You notice I'm not Gun Fu Santa. That would be a completely different shirt and a completely different Santa. But as such, yes, basically I see it as one is a movie and one is a film. And also, Kung Fu always changes the movie for me because I will always, when you watch Kung Fu, the more I learn Kung Fu, the more I see in all the fight scenes. They kick on a completely different experience. So yeah, it's Eastern Condors without question.
All right, copy that. All right, I'm the last one, last of the Mohicans, last man standing. Okay. Again, I love both these films. I still think Bullet in the Head is extremely underrated John Woo movie. But it's not my personal favorite John Woo film. And I got to go with the crowd pleaser, baby. Eastern Condors for the win.
It's 10-4, good buddy. It's 10-4.
Wow, yeah. I mean, the movie just makes me go, But
Where's
yeah,
your
all the-
fan, Samurai? You need a fan next
I need
time.
a fan. Yeah, I need a fan. But all you badasses watching, make sure if you have not seen Bullet in the Head, it's going to be hard to find. But make sure you check it out and watch it. We
By the
still
way,
highly
that's
recommend it.
the way it was made is why it's not easy to find. Nobody knows who's the rights. Nobody has the rights.
Right.
Oh wow.
That's why there's no Blu-ray or an
No,
official.
Samurai, there is. I stuck in the private chat. You can share that link. Like Nova Media out of Korea, I've got a pretty great Blu-ray release.
Oh,
of it.
shit.
I think it's an upscale. It's not like a brand new restoration, but I think it is from kind of Fortune Star's most recent, decent.
Okay.
Kind of.
Oh,
I'm loath to say restoration, but it's out on Blu-ray. It's pretty cheap. Wait for the Nova Media winter sales. You'll get it for $10. But that's the version to get.
All right, I'm putting it in the chat right now, guys. I put the link in chat right now. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Frankie, I maybe know if there's another one, but that's the best one that I've seen.
When it comes to rare, extreme physical media, Fanatical Dragon is the expert.
I
I'm like, how do you have these things, man? I didn't even know that came out. I did buy a German release of Bullet in the Head a long time ago, and unfortunately, no English subtitles. I was like, really? So I'll have to do what Rick said. It's a film. Just fast forward to the fights or the action. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Samurai.
Yeah.
Did the audience vote on this, or is there a poll on that?
Yes.
They did?
Thank you for reminding me. Always like to have the audience vote on our community tab here on the YouTube channel, and they're the tiebreaker. If we do have a tie, it's rare we have a tie once in a while, Matt. But they are the tiebreaker. So what did the public choose to win? Look at that.
There you go.
Okay. There you go.
Slaughter.
About the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that. Copy that. There you go. But this was always a blast. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you, brother.
Yes,
it's always an honor
pleasure.
to have you here, man. Matt is one of the best filmmakers going today. Thank you so much for sticking with it, man. The big
Can I just
boss
say,
returned to
also,
Thailand.
Matt probably doesn't know, but Matt hooked me up with an incredible Shaw Brothers poster. Matt, you sorted me out with Tales of a Eunuch Shaw Brothers poster.
Oh, right.
Thank
okay.
you very, very much.
Nice. Make sure you
No
check
problem.
out
Pleasure.
Matt
Shaw Brothers. That's my jam.
Check out Matt's documentary. That's right. Click on the links below. Everyone's information. That's right. Social security numbers, credit card numbers, addresses. It's all in the links below. Follow these guys. That's right. Even our vid votes, our special guest vid votes. All their information is down there. So follow them. Martial Arts Film Freak, all that good stuff. Shogun. And thank you, Matt, for being here. Billy, thank you so much for being here, brother. Billy, you know what? This could have been a yin yang episode.
It could have been.
Yeah, because they're both different tones. It could have been, yeah.
Both about, Vietnam, all that stuff.
Yeah, check out Bone Cold on Tubi right now. Check it out. Follow Anubis. That's right. If you're into movies and metal, baby. Follow Anubis. Follow the Fanatical one. That's right. He's got awesome content. And hey, Sam. Follow Sam. His video essays on movies are impeccable. All right. I'm like, dude, how do you have time to edit this? Like, the way he edits his videos is phenomenal. Yeah. Check it out. You just did something recently with Jackie Chan, I believe.
I did a Jackie Chan video.
Yeah.
It's not the most favorable.
Well,
but
you're telling the truth. You're telling the truth.
Yeah,
You guys want to know what that is?
Shine a light on some stuntman who Jackie Chan has kind of erased a little bit from some of his older movies.
Yeah. Check out. If you want to know what kind of video it is, you got to go to his channel. Go down there, subscribe. Yeah. It's south of the Mason-Dixon. If you're extreme horror lovers, and subscribe to John Flicks. That's right. actionflix.com, and follow Kung Fu Santa. And hey, if you guys enjoyed yourselves, hey, don't forget to like, share to the old samurai guy over here. All right. And we'll see you badasses on the next episode of Versus. Me and Kyle Wong, filmmaker. We're going to be reviewing, where is it? This Saturday, we're going to be reviewing Takasakaguchi's newest film.
Oh, I just watched that one. I finally watched it. Yeah, 1%. I finally got to watch it. Yeah.
Oh, nice. 1% Warrior. We're going to be reviewing that. Spoiler review this Saturday. So join us this Saturday at 5. And I'll see you badasses on the next one. Keep watching martial arts and action movies. Take care, everybody.
Later. Cheers, guys.
Matt, you made it. Oh, he just left. He's like, I'm going to bed.